In this section, we will look at some of the instruments that feature on engine-driven vehicles. On the vehicle's control panel, usually directly in front of the operator driving position, there will be certain instruments and warning devices. The manner in which the instruments are set out and the way in which certain instruments provide information can vary depending on vehicle make or model. Most instruments nowadays tend to be grouped together in what we call an instrument cluster or composite instrument. On a typical engine-powered vehicle, you will find instruments and warning devices, something like we have illustrated in this graphic. The hour meter. The purpose of an hour meter is to keep track of the time that the vehicle has operated in its life. This instrument operates all the while that the engine is running. The number of hours that a vehicle operates determines such things as service and maintenance intervals and resale value. Next, we have a charge indicator. The purpose of a charge indicator is to warn you should the charging system stop functioning. If this light comes on when the engine is running, you must notify your supervisor immediately and take the vehicle to the maintenance section. The next warning indicator is the oil pressure light. This, if lit whilst the engine is running, tells you that the engine's oil pressure has dropped. If this light comes on, you must stop the engine immediately and notify your supervisor. If the vehicle has a liquid cooling system, then there will most usually be a temperature gauge. A temperature gauge gives you some idea of the actual operating temperature of the water in the system. Should the gauge needle move into the red zone, you know that the engine is running hot. If the vehicle has a temperature warning lamp, and this comes on whilst the engine is running, then you know that the engine is running too hot. In both cases, you should immediately stop operating, switch off the engine, and inform your supervisor of the problem. The next warning indicator is the air filter warning. This device warns of a dirty or clogged air filter. We have not yet looked at this unit, so let's find out a little more about it. The air filter is found in the engine compartment and typically looks like this unit here. The purpose of an air filter is to trap the dust in the atmosphere and prevent it entering the engine's inlet. All the air that the engine uses is obtained from the surrounding atmosphere, and that is generally very dusty. An air filter traps dust and dirt like a sponge soaks up water. Sooner or later, the filter becomes so full of dust that air has a tough time trying to enter the engine. At this time, we say that the filter is clogged. When the filter is nearly clogged, a sensor in the intake system, or manifold, causes the filter warning lamp to come on, thereby letting the operator know. When the filter warning lamp is on, it means that the air filter requires cleaning or replacing without delay. Failure to take notice of this warning can cause serious engine damage. Let's look at another important warning device in the instrument cluster, namely the hydraulic oil temperature warning light. This instrument is used on vehicles fitted with hydrostatic transmissions. When the hydraulic temperature lamp comes on, then you must stop the vehicle and report this to your supervisor. If you ignore this warning, you risk severe damage to the transmission. The next warning device is the park brake. This lamp comes on when the park brake is applied. If the lamp is on when you are operating, then you are driving with the brake on. This will result in rapid wear to the brakes and cause a great loss of operating power. Finally, we have a fuel gauge. At least you will on diesel and petrol-powered vehicles. The fuel gauge reminds you of the available fuel in the fuel tank. It is never a good idea to wait until the gauge reads empty before you refuel. We'll deal with this aspect in a later module. We have looked at the instruments found on typical engine-powered vehicles, and as we mentioned, there can be some variations in the way in which they are set out on the control panel. During the next break time, take the time to study the control panel on the vehicle that you will be operating. Don't forget to read the operator's manual, as this will help you to identify warning devices that you must know when you come to operate the vehicle. In the last section of this module, we shall be looking at the control panel instruments on typical electric vehicles.